Does an instructor need to roll with their students? My answer is no, but with some caveats. So why do I say no? Well, in order to necessarily improve your students, it may be beneficial for someone that is much better than them to roll with them and teach them certain aspects of defense that they wouldn't otherwise learn rolling with other white belts or blue belts or people of the lower ranks. So if you're in a school where there's a lot of white belts or blue belts like my school, it is beneficial for them to roll with me occasionally because I can expose them to certain attacks that they haven't seen yet, and I can tighten up their defense. That being said, if you're in a school environment where there's lots of people of many different ranks, many different skill levels, you don't necessarily need to have an instructor that rolls with their students. Their time could actually be better served sitting on the sidelines and watching the drilling, watching the live rolling taking place, and calling out things to do, mistakes that are being made. What I like to do is I fix things as they happen. If I see one of my students make a very obvious major mistake, sometimes I'll even stop the roll and I'll have that person address it, go back to that position, and then continue grappling so that they understand why they messed up, why the other student dominated the exchange, and what they can do to fix it. So that kind of coaching is a lot of the times more effective than simply rolling with someone and beating them up. Now, of course, after you do roll with that person, most good coaches will give a few tips that they noticed in the roll that, hey, you could improve on this, right? And that can be beneficial as well. My point is simply that it's not necessary. That being said, if you are in a school with an instructor that is in their 20s and 30s, has no major injuries, and they never roll with their students ever, and you've never actually seen them roll and implement their jiu-jitsu skill on somebody, that may be a red flag that, okay, maybe this person is unconfident with their skills, and maybe you should be training in a different environment. So it's not always the case, guys, but you know, look at John Danaher, arguably one of the greatest coaches in the world when it comes to jiu-jitsu, right? He doesn't roll with his students, right? He can't. He's physically unable to, and yet he's produced some of the best grapplers on the planet. So simply by looking at real-world examples of this, you can see that it's not necessary in order to produce really high-performing students. So while I think it's a plus for a coach to occasionally roll with their students, especially if they're in a new school environment where there's lots of white and blue belts and not a lot of advanced ranks, it's not absolutely necessary for progression and for making your students better. And again, I prefer most of the time just sitting and watching my students roll and correcting mistakes as they happen from a third-person perspective because it allows me to see much more than in a first-person perspective where I'm grappling with them. So that's my take on it, guys. Hope you liked the video. If you disagree, please leave a comment. If you want to expand on something that I said, let's talk about it. So thanks for checking us out. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you click the notification bell as well so that you get updated when our videos come out. Take care, guys.